I was standing in front of my mirror, curling the last strand of my hair, smiling at my reflection. Tonight was special. My daughter had invited me over for dinner, and for once, I felt like things between us were finally good again. I slipped into my favorite dress, the one she always said made me look elegant, and I thought, maybe this evening will bring us closer. Maybe it'll feel like family again. I bent down to buckle my shoes, humming softly, already imagining the smell of her cooking, the sound of her laughter filling the dining room. I clutched the little gift I had wrapped for her, something simple but chosen with love. My heart was full. A mother's heart, ready to forgive, ready to hope. And then, my phone buzzed. I expected it to be her, maybe asking if I was on my way. But it wasn't. It was a message from my lawyer. Just 3 words, glowing on the screen like fire. Call me immediately. I froze. My smile faded. Why would my lawyer text me like that, and right now, of all times? With trembling fingers, I dialed his number, and the moment he answered, I knew. My life, my trust, and my very relationship with my daughter were about to shatter. I had just finished adjusting the clasp on my necklace when it happened. My reflection in the mirror looked back at me, smiling, soft lines etched by years of motherhood and sacrifice. My heart was light. Tonight was supposed to be a night of warmth, of family, of healing. My daughter had invited me to her home for dinner. For weeks I had replayed those words in my head. Mom, why don't you come over? I'll make something special. To anyone else, it might seem ordinary, a daughter inviting her mother over for a meal, but to me, it meant everything. Our relationship hadn't always been smooth. We had argued, drifted apart at times, but this invitation felt like a step forward, like a bridge being rebuilt brick by brick. I wanted to believe it was her way of saying, I still need you, Mom. I still love you. I slipped on my shoes, steadying myself against the dresser, humming softly. I thought about the stories we might share at the table, the laughter that might finally erase the distance between us. I even imagined her hugging me at the door, just like when she was little. My heart swelled with hope. And then, my phone buzzed. At first, I ignored it. I thought it might be her, asking me to bring dessert or maybe a bottle of wine. But the buzz came again, more insistent this time. With a sigh, I picked up the phone and glanced at the screen. It wasn't her. It was my lawyer. The message was brief. Only 3 words. Call me immediately. I froze. The words blurred in front of my eyes as if my mind refused to process them. My first thought was panic. Had something happened with the house? With my finances? Or worse, had there been an accident? My chest tightened, and suddenly the necklace around my neck felt heavy, like it was choking me. I stood in my bedroom, phone clutched tightly in my hand, unable to move. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. The world around me seemed to fade away. The soft lamplight, the scent of perfume I had just sprayed, even the evening breeze fluttering through the curtains. All I could see were those 3 words staring back at me. Call me immediately. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Calm down, I whispered to my reflection in the mirror. It's probably nothing. Maybe some paperwork, maybe just a reminder. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't nothing. My lawyer wasn't a man of dramatic words. He didn't send messages like this unless it mattered. Unless it was urgent. With trembling fingers, I pressed the call button. The ringing in my ear seemed to last forever, each second stretching like an eternity. My knees felt weak, so I sat down on the edge of my bed, gripping the phone tightly. Finally, he answered. Mrs. Anderson? His voice was low, careful, not the usual brisk, professional tone I was used to. Yes, it's me, I said quickly, my voice shaking. What's wrong? Why did you text me like that? There was silence on the other end. Silence so heavy I thought the line had gone dead. Please, I whispered, my throat dry. You're scaring me. Just tell me." When he finally spoke, his voice was steady but filled with something I couldn't quite place. Hesitation, maybe even pity. "Mrs. Anderson, I didn't want to do this over the phone," he said slowly, "but I had no choice. You needed to know before tonight." My stomach dropped. Before tonight. The words echoed in my mind. What did tonight have to do with anything? Tonight was dinner with my daughter. Tonight was supposed to be joy, not dread. I clutched the phone tighter, my palms slick with sweat. "Know what?" I demanded, though my voice was barely more than a whisper. "What are you talking about? This is about my daughter, isn't it?" Again, silence. That silence was worse than any answer he could give. It was a silence that screamed. I could hear my own breathing, sharp and ragged. My whole body was trembling now, every muscle taut, waiting, dreading. "Please," I begged. "She's my only child. What are you trying to tell me?" When he finally spoke, his tone was so grave it made my skin crawl. "Mrs. Anderson, what I'm about to tell you may change how you see your daughter forever." The room spun. My heart seemed to stop. I opened my mouth, but no words came. All I could do was clutch the phone to my ear, listening to the sound of my lawyer's breathing, feeling the walls of my world closing in. I wanted to scream, to demand answers immediately. But fear held me back. Fear of the unknown, fear of the truth. Because deep inside, a mother's intuition had already whispered it to me. Whatever he was about to say, it would hurt. It would cut deeper than any wound I had ever known. I sat there in silence, my fingers trembling, my whole body shaking, waiting for the truth that would turn my entire life upside down. And in that moment, as my lawyer prepared to reveal the secret, I realized something. This wasn't just about dinner. This wasn't about a simple family evening. This was about betrayal, deception, and a truth I never imagined my daughter could be capable of. My breath caught in my throat, and I whispered, "Tell me." What he told me next changed everything. His words cut through the silence like a blade. "Mrs. Anderson, I've uncovered something you need to know about your daughter." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My mind screamed at me to stop him, to tell him I didn't want to hear it. But my heart demanded the truth. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles turned white. I forced the words out, my voice cracking. "What are you talking about, my daughter? No, there must be some mistake." He took a deep breath, and the weight in his tone made me shiver. "I wish it were a mistake, but it isn't. Your daughter has been meeting with people about your estate, about your finances, your assets, your will." The world seemed to tilt. My throat went dry. I clutched my chest as though holding my heart in place would stop it from shattering. "My estate?" I whispered. "Why would she—" He didn't let me finish. His words came out steady, deliberate, as though each syllable was a nail sealing a coffin. "She's been making arrangements behind your back. If something were to happen to you, she'd inherit everything immediately. She's been rushing paperwork, pushing documents, even trying to intercept information from my office. I can't legally say more without evidence in front of me, but Mrs. Anderson, I fear your daughter may be planning something far darker than you realize." My whole body went cold. A shiver ran down my spine so sharp it hurt. "No," I gasped. "Not my daughter. She wouldn't do that. She's a mother herself. She knows what love means. She wouldn't—" But even as I spoke the words, I remembered. The small things. The way she asked me so many questions about my bank accounts last Christmas. How she pushed me to sign certain forms, dismissing them as just routine paperwork. The way she once joked, though maybe it wasn't a joke at all, that I was sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. The lawyer's voice softened. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson. I didn't want to believe it either, but the signs are clear. She's been speaking to advisors preparing for your absence. The phrase pierced me like a dagger. My absence. Not my life, not my love. Just the absence of me. I felt tears sting my eyes. My daughter, the little girl I raised, the one I carried in my arms when she had fevers, the one I worked double shifts to put through college. Could she really be plotting against me? I remembered her first day of school, how she clung to my skirt, afraid to let go. I remembered her wedding day, how her eyes sparkled as she promised her husband forever, and how proud I felt as I stood by her side. I remembered the night she gave birth to her first child, when she cried in my arms and whispered, "I finally understand how much you love me, Mom." And now, this. I shook my head violently, as if I could throw off the memory. "You're wrong," I whispered desperately. "She's my daughter, my only child. She wouldn't betray me like this." "She couldn't." The lawyer sighed heavily. "I hoped I was wrong too, but I've seen the documents. She's been contacting institutions, trying to reroute assets. She's been discussing guardianship over you. She's painting you as incapable of handling your own affairs. If she succeeds, Mrs. Anderson, she could strip you of everything. Your money, your home, even your independence." My breath caught. My own daughter, trying to declare me unfit? A wave of nausea rolled over me. I pressed a hand to my stomach as though holding it in place would keep me from breaking apart. "No," I whispered again, though my voice sounded weak, even to my own ears. How could my own flesh and blood do this to me? I pressed the phone tighter to my ear, my tears falling freely now. "Do you know what you're saying? Do you know who you're talking about? She's not just a name on a document. She's my little girl." The lawyer hesitated. His tone softened again, almost apologetic. "I know this is hard. I know you don't want to believe it. But sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us the deepest." I broke. The sob tore out of me before I could stop it. My whole body shook with grief, with rage, with disbelief. I wanted to throw the phone across the room, to pretend this call never happened. But I couldn't. Because deep inside, a mother's intuition told me it was true. All the small things I had brushed off, the uneasy moments I had buried, they all came rushing back. The hurried way she always changed the subject when money came up, the way she never let me speak to her husband about finances, the dismissive tone in her voice when she'd say, "Don't worry, Mom, I'll handle it." Handle it. Yes, she had been handling it all right. Handling my future, my security, my very life. The lawyer cleared his throat gently. "I needed you to know before you walked into her house tonight. Please, be careful. Don't confront her yet. We need to gather evidence, protect you legally, but above all, protect yourself." I sat there in silence, staring blankly at the floor, my tears dripping onto my dress. Just minutes ago, I had been smiling, humming, excited for dinner with my daughter. Now I was trembling, broken, wondering if I had raised a stranger. I whispered almost to myself, "She's my daughter. She's supposed to love me. I gave her everything." The lawyer's voice was quiet but firm. "And yet, Mrs. Anderson, she's chosen greed over love." I closed my eyes, clutching the phone against my ear, my heart pounding in agony. In that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again, because the one person I trusted more than anyone in this world had become the one I feared the most. The silence on the line lingered for a moment, heavy and suffocating. My breathing was shallow, my chest tight. I gripped the phone so hard my hand ached. Finally, the lawyer continued, his voice low and deliberate, as though each word had to be carefully chosen. "Mrs. Anderson, there's more. I've been looking into things, and what I've found is disturbing. Your daughter hasn't only been preparing paperwork behind your back. She's been hiding things from you for a long time." My throat went dry. My voice cracked as I whispered, "Hiding things? What do you mean?" He sighed. "Over the last year, she's been opening accounts in your name, transferring small amounts at first, amounts most people wouldn't notice. But it's grown. She's rerouted funds, used your personal information, and even contacted business associates of your late husband, pretending she had your authorization." The words hit me like stones, each one heavier than the last. My daughter, my little girl, using me, stealing from me. I shook my head violently, my tears dripping onto my lap. No, she wouldn't do that. She knows better. I raised her better. But even as the words left my mouth, memories began to surface. Small, almost forgettable moments that suddenly took on a whole new light. I remembered the time she came over to help with my mail. She insisted on sorting through everything, pulling out envelopes, saying she was just making sure I didn't miss anything important. I thought it was sweet then. Thought she was just being a caring daughter. I remembered how she once snapped at me when I asked her why she needed a copy of my signature. She had smiled quickly after, brushing it off. "Oh, Mom, it's just for some forms. Don't worry about it." And like a fool, I hadn't worried. I trusted her. The lawyer's voice broke into my thoughts. "She's been building a case, Mrs. Anderson, behind your back, painting a picture that you're incapable, that you forget things, that you're careless with money. She's even spoken to doctors without your knowledge, trying to gather medical statements." My mouth fell open in shock. "Medical statements? What for?" His reply chilled me to the bone. "To prove that you're incompetent. If she succeeds, she could file for full guardianship. It would give her total control over your finances, your home, your assets, and your freedom." I gasped, my whole body trembling. My mind raced with disbelief. My daughter, my flesh and blood, plotting to strip me of everything. Not just my money, my independence, my dignity. A wave of memories came flooding in. Every moment I had brushed off now piecing together into a puzzle I didn't want to see. The time she got angry when I questioned a loan she said she needed from me. She had told me I didn't remember the conversation, that I must have forgotten. I had laughed it off, thinking maybe she was right. The way she sometimes spoke to her friends on the phone, whispering when I walked into the room, lowering her voice until it was almost silent. I thought she was just gossiping. The way she pushed me to add her name to my bank accounts. "It's just for convenience, Mom," she had said with that practiced smile. "You know, in case anything happens." Anything happens? Those words echoed in my mind like a curse. The lawyer continued, his tone steady, though I could hear the weight behind every word. "She's been very careful, Mrs. Anderson, but not careful enough. I've seen documents she shouldn't have. I've traced transactions that lead directly to her. I have colleagues keeping an eye on her actions. That's how I know." I swallowed hard, my voice trembling. "How long?" There was a pause, then, "Over a year, maybe longer." A year. A whole year of lies, of betrayal. A year where every smile she gave me, every hug, every "I love you, Mom," was laced with deception. I pressed a hand to my chest, the ache in my heart unbearable. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would she do this to me?" The lawyer's reply was quiet, almost reluctant. "Greed. Power. Sometimes it blinds people, even good people, but this was calculated, intentional." My tears burned as they fell. I thought of every sacrifice I had made for her. The nights I worked late shifts so she could go on school trips. The times I went without so she could have more. The years I spent alone after my husband passed just to make sure she felt secure. And this was how she repaid me. I sat there shaking, whispering to myself over and over, how could my own flesh and blood do this to me? Regret gnawed at me like a relentless animal. Regret for every time I had ignored the signs. Regret for not questioning her motives. Regret for trusting too blindly, for loving too unconditionally. Because now, the puzzle pieces fit together. Every suspicious glance, every dismissive comment, every time she called me forgetful in front of others. She had been setting the stage, preparing the story, making me look weak so she could take everything. And I had let her. The lawyer spoke again, his voice steady but sympathetic. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you need to understand the scope. She's spoken with real estate agents trying to get information about selling your home. She's contacted your bank multiple times pretending to be acting under your permission. If she hadn't slipped up, I might not have noticed. My eyes widened in horror. Selling my home, the house her father and I built together, the place she grew up? Yes, he said simply. I covered my mouth with my hand, a sob escaping me. The memories of her childhood, her first steps on those very floors, her birthday parties in the backyard, the laughter that once filled those walls. All of it meant nothing to her. Nothing. She wanted it gone. Sold. Converted into cash. Anger flared inside me, hot and violent. For a moment it drowned out the sorrow. My tears dried, replaced by fire. She thinks she can take everything from me, I spat. She thinks I'm too weak. Too blind to notice. Well, she's wrong. She's so wrong. But even as I spoke, my body betrayed me. My hands shook. My voice wavered. Because beneath the anger was a deeper wound. The wound of a mother betrayed by her own child. I whispered again, softer this time, my voice breaking. She was my little girl. My baby. How could she look me in the eye and do this to me? The lawyer didn't answer right away. And maybe that was for the best. Because in that moment there was no answer, no explanation, no justification that could ever make this right. All I had was the truth. The raw, ugly truth that my daughter had been hiding from me. And now, as the puzzle pieces fit together, the picture was clear. She hadn't just lied. She hadn't just stolen. She had betrayed me in the deepest, most unforgivable way. And I knew, from this moment on, nothing between us would ever be the same. I sat there on the edge of my bed, the phone still pressed to my ear, but I could hardly hear the lawyer anymore. His voice had become background noise, muffled like it was coming from underwater. All I could hear were the words that kept echoing in my head, the words I couldn't escape. She's been hiding things from you. She's preparing to take everything. She's painting you as incapable. I lowered the phone slowly, my hand trembling. My eyes fixed on the little wrapped box I had set on my nightstand earlier that evening. It was a simple gift, a framed photo of her and me from years ago, back when she was still in college. I had chosen that photo because she looked so happy in it, her arm wrapped around me, her smile wide and bright. That was the image I had wanted to bring to dinner tonight. A reminder of love. A reminder of us. But now, staring at that box, all I felt was bitterness. My daughter didn't see me as a mother anymore. She saw me as an obstacle, a wallet, a name on a deed she wanted erased. The tears I had been holding back came flooding again. Harder, hotter, unstoppable. My body shook as I sobbed into my hands. The sound that left me was not the sound of a woman in control, but of a mother broken into pieces. I gave her my life, I whispered into the emptiness of my room. My shoulders shook violently, my words torn apart by tears. I gave her my love, my sacrifices, every single thing I had. And this is how she repays me? My mind flashed back to nights when she was little. Nights when I worked 2 shifts and came home exhausted but still stayed up to sew her costumes for school plays. I remembered eating less so she could eat more. I remembered pawning my jewelry once, quietly, so I could pay her tuition, and now, this? I pressed my palms into my eyes as though I could push the memories away, but they kept coming. Her laughter when she opened Christmas presents. Her voice calling out, "Mom!" when she scraped her knee and needed me to kiss it better. The way she once fell asleep on my lap as a teenager, when the world had hurt her feelings and she said, "You're the only person who understands me." All of those moments had been real to me, but were they real to her? Or had it all just faded into greed? The betrayal cut so deep it felt physical, like a knife twisting in my chest. I looked at myself in the mirror across the room. My face was pale, my eyes swollen from crying, and for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman staring back at me. That woman wasn't a mother anymore. She was a target. I gripped the sides of my bed, my whole body trembling. I thought of the dinner I had been so excited for just minutes ago. The warm meal I had pictured, the laughter, the hugs. I had even imagined maybe she would apologize for the distance between us. But now, the cruel truth overshadowed it all. That dinner wasn't meant for reconnection. It wasn't meant for love. It was meant to keep me close, to keep me unsuspecting, while she pulled the rug out from under me. The gift box on my nightstand mocked me. The necklace around my neck felt heavy, suffocating. Every symbol of love I had prepared for tonight now felt foolish, like the props in a play I had been tricked into starring in. I stood up abruptly, pacing the room, my mind racing. Should I go to her house tonight? Should I sit at her table smiling like nothing had changed, while knowing every word out of her mouth was a lie? Could I look into her eyes without breaking down? Or should I confront her? Slam the truth on the table, demand answers, demand to know how she could betray me like this. My breath quickened, my hands shaking. The thought of calling her out, of watching her face fall when she realized I knew everything, sent a dark satisfaction through me. For a moment, anger was stronger than sorrow. But then, fear crept in. What if confronting her now made it worse? What if she pushed harder, became more dangerous? The lawyer's warning echoed in my ears. Please, be careful. Don't confront her yet. Protect yourself. I collapsed back onto the bed, my body weak, my mind torn apart. In my heart, I was still her mother. A mother who wanted to believe there was a mistake, that maybe she didn't mean it, that maybe she was lost and could be brought back. But in my gut, I knew the truth. She had chosen betrayal. She had chosen greed. The war inside me raged, love against anger, denial against reality. I whispered through tears, "She's my daughter, my baby. How do I stop loving her? How do I stop needing her?" No one answered. The house was silent, except for the sound of my own breaking heart. I stood again, pacing back and forth, gripping my arms tightly as though trying to hold myself together. I thought of what tomorrow might bring. Would she try to take me to court? Would she find another way to push me into a corner? Would I lose my home, my freedom, my dignity at the hands of my own child? The thought was unbearable. I turned back toward the mirror. This time, I didn't look away. My reflection looked fragile, yes, but there was something else there too. A flicker of strength. A spark buried deep inside, waiting. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. My voice, though hoarse, grew firm. "She may be my daughter," I whispered, "but she's made her choice. And now, I'll have to make mine." The tension inside me coiled tighter, like a spring about to snap. I had to decide. Walk into her house tonight pretending everything was fine, or walk in armed with the truth, ready to face the storm. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. Because once trust is broken between a mother and her child, it can never be rebuilt the same. I sat at the edge of my bed for what felt like hours, the clock ticking louder with every second. My phone lay beside me, silent now, the lawyer's words still circling in my head like vultures over something broken. My eyes drifted again to that little gift box on the nightstand, the framed photo of us. For a long moment, I considered leaving it there, not bringing it with me. Why should I give her a piece of my heart when she had just tried to rip mine apart? But then, something stirred inside me. A calmness. A strange, quiet strength I hadn't felt in years. I picked up that gift. Not because she deserved it, but because I deserved to show myself, even in betrayal, even in heartbreak, that I was still a mother, that I could still rise above the pettiness of greed. I slipped my shoes back on, stood tall in the mirror, wiped the last of my tears, and whispered to myself, "Tonight, I will not be their victim. Tonight, I will be heard." And with that, I left for her house. The drive was the longest 10 minutes of my life. Every red light felt like it was mocking me, every turn like a question I didn't yet know how to answer. My chest ached, but my hands on the steering wheel didn't tremble anymore. For the first time all night, they were steady. When I pulled up to her house, I saw the glow of warm light spilling from the windows, the shadows of people moving inside. Family, laughter, food. The picture-perfect gathering I had dreamed of earlier. My throat tightened. For a moment, I almost wanted to turn the car around and drive away, to run from the truth and live just one more night in denial. But I didn't. I opened the car door, stepped out, and walked up to her door with my head high. When she answered, she smiled. Wide, polished, rehearsed. That smile I had once believed in with my whole heart, but now looked so different, so false. "Mom," she said sweetly, "you made it." For a moment I couldn't speak. I just looked at her. My daughter, the little girl who once clung to my hand at the supermarket, the young woman I had worked 3 jobs to support. And now, the woman who had betrayed me. "Yes," I finally said, my voice calm. "I made it." I stepped inside, gift box in hand. Dinner began like any other family gathering. Plates clattered, glasses clinked, conversations overlapped in warm hums of noise. But I wasn't really listening. Every word, every laugh, every gesture from my daughter carried a new weight now. Behind every smile, I could see the shadows of lies. Behind every toast, I could feel the greed. I sat there, my fork idle on my plate, studying her, studying the woman who had once been my everything, and realizing she had chosen to paint me as her enemy. Halfway through the meal, she leaned closer to me, her hand brushing mine as she asked, "Are you enjoying it, Mom?" Her eyes were wide, but I saw it now. That flicker of calculation behind them. I looked back at her, meeting her gaze with a steadiness she hadn't expected. "It's lovely," I said softly. Then, after a pause, I added, "Almost as lovely as the stories you've been telling behind my back." Her face froze. For the first time all evening, the mask slipped. Silence fell at the table. Forks stopped mid-air. The air turned heavy. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice sharp, defensive. I leaned back in my chair, my voice calm but unshakable. "I spoke to my lawyer tonight. He told me everything. About the documents, about the lies, about how you're trying to take what isn't yours." Gasps rippled across the table. My daughter's cheeks flushed red, her eyes darting around as though searching for an escape. "Mom, that's not," she began. "Don't lie to me," I interrupted, my voice firm now, cutting through the room. "Not tonight. Not after everything I've done for you. I gave you my life, my love, my sacrifices. And this is how you repay me?" Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. I felt the tears threatening again, but this time I didn't let them fall. I wouldn't cry in front of her. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I lifted my chin, my voice steady, dignified. "You thought I was weak. You thought I wouldn't find out. But you were wrong. That night, I found the courage to stand up for myself." The table was silent. "I am your mother," I continued, "but I am also a woman who deserves respect. And if you cannot give me that, then you do not deserve me in your life." Her mouth opened, but no words came. She just stared, caught between shock and shame. I stood slowly, placing the little gift box in front of her. "This," I said quietly, "was meant to remind you of who we were. But now, it will remind you of who you chose to become." And with that, I walked away from the table. I didn't storm out. I didn't scream. I didn't create the scene she probably expected. No. I walked with dignity, with strength, with the knowledge that I was finally reclaiming my voice. Every step toward the door felt like shedding a weight I had carried for too long. By the time I reached my car, I felt lighter, freer, stronger. I sat behind the wheel, gripping it tight, my breath finally releasing in one long exhale. It hurt. Oh, it hurt more than anything. But inside that hurt was also power. Power I hadn't known I still carried. That night, I realized something important. Betrayal may wound you, but it also wakes you up. It shows you who people truly are, and it shows you what you're truly made of. And I was made of more than pain. I was made of resilience. I started the car, the headlights cutting through the night. For the first time in years, I wasn't driving towards someone else's approval, someone else's love. I was driving toward myself. That night was my turning point. Not because I stopped being her mother. I'll always be her mother. But because I stopped letting her treat me like I was less than I am. I found my voice, my strength, my dignity. And as I drove home, the lawyer's warnings still echoing in my mind, I whispered to myself, she may have tried to take everything from me, but she forgot the one thing she could never steal. My courage. And with that, I knew. This was just the beginning of a new chapter in my life. Family. It's supposed to mean love, loyalty, and trust. It's supposed to be the place where you feel safest, the people you can count on when the world turns against you. For most of my life, I believed that with all my heart. I gave my daughter everything I had because I believed family was unbreakable. But I learned something the hard way. Family isn't just blood. Family is respect. Family is honesty. Family is love that doesn't have to be bought, proven, or taken by force. And when those things disappear, what's left behind is only an illusion. Yes, my heart broke that night. And yes, I will always carry the scar of my daughter's betrayal. But I also carry something else now. Something she never expected me to find. Strength. Sometimes the people you love most will betray you. But sometimes, that's the moment you finally discover your own power. And in that discovery, I didn't just survive. I reclaimed myself. That night, I walked away with dignity, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free.